Lesson 16. The Golden Rule. With this lesson, we approach the apex of the pyramid of this course on the law of success. This lesson is the guiding star that will enable you to use profitably and constructively the knowledge assembled in the preceding lessons. There is more power wrapped up in the preceding lessons of this course than most men could trust themselves with. Therefore, this lesson is a governor that will, if observed and applied, enable you to steer your ship of knowledge over the rocks and reefs of failure that usually beset the pathway of all who come suddenly into possession of power. For more than 25 years, I have been observing the manner in which men behave themselves when in possession of power. And I have been forced to the conclusion that the man who attains it in any other than by the slow, step-by-step process is constantly in danger of destroying himself and all whom he influences. It must have become obvious to you long before this that this entire course leads to the attainment of power of proportions which may be able to perform the seemingly impossible. Happily, it becomes apparent that this power can only be attained by the observance of many fundamental principles, all of which converge in this lesson, which is based upon a law that both equals and transcends in importance every other law outlined in the preceding lessons. Likewise, it becomes apparent to the thoughtful student that this power can endure only by faithful observance of the law upon which this lesson is based, wherein lies the safety valve that protects the careless student from the dangers of his own follies, and protects also those whom he might endanger if he tried to circumvent the injunction laid down in this lesson. To prank with the power that may be attained from the knowledge wrapped up in the preceding lessons of this course, without a full understanding and strict observance of the law laid down in this lesson, is the equivalent of pranking with a power which may destroy as well as create. I am speaking now not of that which I suspect to be true, but of that which I know to be true. The truth upon which this entire course, and this lesson in particular, is founded is no invention of mine. I lay no claim to it, except that of having observed its unvarying application in the everyday walks of life over a period of more than 25 years of struggle, and of having appropriated as much of it as, in the light of my human frailties and weaknesses, I could make use of. If you demand positive proof of the soundness of the laws upon which this course in general, and this lesson in particular, is founded, I must plead inability to offer it except through one witness, and that is yourself. You may have positive proof only by testing and applying these laws for yourself. If you demand more substantial and authoritative evidence than my own, then I am privileged to refer you to the teachings and philosophy of Plato, Socrates, Epictetus, Confucius, Emerson, and two of the more modern philosophers, James and Munsterberg, from whose works I have appropriated all that constitutes the more important fundamentals of this lesson, with the exception of that which I have gathered from my own limited experience. For more than 4,000 years, men have been preaching the Golden Rule as a suitable rule of conduct among men. But unfortunately, the world has accepted the letter while totally missing the spirit of this universal injunction. We have accepted the Golden Rule philosophy merely as a sound rule of ethical conduct, but we have failed to understand the law upon which it is based. I have heard the Golden Rule quoted scores of times, but I do not recall having ever heard an explanation of the law upon which it is based. And not until recent years did I understand that law, from which I am led to believe that those who quoted it did not understand it. The Golden Rule means, substantially, to do unto others as you would wish them to do unto you if your positions were reversed. But why? What is the real reason for this kindly consideration of others? The real reason is this. There is an eternal law through the operation of which we reap that which we sow. When you select the rule of conduct by which you guide yourself in your transactions with others, you will be fair and just, very likely, if you know that you are setting into motion, by that selection, a power that will run its course for weal and woe in the lives of others, returning finally to help or to hinder you according to its nature. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. It is your privilege to deal unjustly with others, but if you understand the law upon which the Golden Rule is based, you will know that your unjust dealings will come home to roost. If you fully understand the principles described in Lesson 11 on accurate thought, it will be quite
Sample complete. Ready to continue?